really what I'm kind of addressing. It's the sections. So I have those. I still want to do that same stuff here. I still want to look at things and go, you know what, this negative cylinder, I do see it in the right side view. But do I get a good look at this? Do I know what's really going on in here? Can I display it a little bit differently that might give that a little better look? Maybe, maybe not. Something to explore. Also, I think Lisa just mentioned an auxiliary view, this one. Should we pull an auxiliary view? We do have an inclined plane on here. I'm going to address this one tomorrow. On this object, I would not do an auxiliary view for the simple reason, let me go to the top view, is that this hole, it's actually perpendicular to the base. So if I look at this plane, true size and shape here, then this is going to be elliptical, and it's going to give me kind of a weird look. And really, all I need to do is get the slot and the hole located in this view. So it's pretty straightforward with the front view. I think that this is just chopped off at some angle. I wouldn't do an auxiliary view on this object, but I should consider it. I should consider it. So point being here, when you're setting these things up on ViewBase, don't forget you've got that whole toolbox that we set up last semester. All of that stuff's game here, every bit of it. Your job is to show it in its best light so that that person at the back end of this can decipher what you're telling them and build it correctly. Okay, let's handle the section today. The section. Say that 3 times fast. All right, set this in any orientation you want. Now, you need to know where your top view is for this, because I think this is a great section on this guy. Section view is a good look on this. So I'm going to set it in this orientation, but it doesn't really matter, just as long as you know where your views are. And then let's pop to Paperspace. Okay, so here I have my template. First thing we do, we delete the viewport in here. Now on this one, what I've decided is I'm going to do my top view, just standard orthographic projection. I'm going to do my front view in a full section. And I'm going to do my right view in standard orthographic projection. So now to create the section, I do have to start on a view that is adjacent to it. Why? Because that's where our cutting plane is, right? Our cutting plane is adjacent to the view that is a section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place, and it could be either the right or the top, but I'm going to place my top view first. Okay? So we're going to do ViewBase here. So I go to my layout ribbon. And I'm going to use ViewBase. So I'm doing this guy from model space. Now it defaults to whatever UCS was current out in the drawing. So I'm going to change the orientation here because I want to place my top view first. So I'm going to hit O enter for orientation and then tell it to go to the top view. And then I'm going to place that view and just quit. Okay, so I hit enter a couple times to get out of it. So go to Paperspace, use ViewBase, place your top view. It may not be your top. Oh, yeah, if you had this before and you had it all dimensioned, just do it off to the side or delete what you've got. Remember, it's a dummy file. Go to Paperspace. Get my layout ready. Everybody there?
No.
There you go, place it in our twice.
Okay.
Okay, now we're set. All right, now we have a couple options up here. We have projected, section, and detail. The section, of course, is used for producing sections. The detail is for doing removed sections. Okay, remember a removed section, you take a little piece, break it off, blow it up so we can see it in more detail. Okay, we're going to look at those two today. Now, we have some other options up through here, like the projected, which I'll get into later. Now, the thing I want you to pay attention to also is that over here on the very right, see this area right here? It says styles and standards. When we place a section, it is going to try and provide a cutting plane, labels, all of this type of stuff for us. How you control your text and everything is done through those styles and standards. They're fairly intuitive. You've been through a bunch of these now. You've been through text style, dim style, all of these. They work the same. Okay, so we'll go through one today after we place our section so you can see it, and then I'll leave the rest up to you. Okay. So at this point, we want to place our section. Okay, now that we have the view that is perpendicular. Okay, so if you go up to the section, there's a drop down arrow. So you have right now full, half, offset, and align, which are 4 of your sections available to you. You can also do one from the object. So if you don't have a snap point on here on where your section's going to go, I could come in here and draw a line at any orientation. I would choose that, and then that's going to be my cutting plane. But for now, since we've got it, we're just going to pull a full section so you see how this works. Remember, the half is for circular objects. Offset is when you want to bend it to pass through critical parts. The align is when we are using the revolve convention. So choose your full. What does it say on the command line? Select your parent view. Okay, now this is going to be the one that controls the section. So I'm going to come and select this top view. It then defaults into your section area and it's saying, give me a start point. Now, if you've got something to snap on your object, you can do this. So I'm just going to come in here and use my midpoint snap. So I go midpoint, and I'm just going to go the midpoint of this edge right here. So I'm doing midpoint of this left edge. Now you can see my cutting plane line starting to go with me. Since I chose a full section, I don't need another snap. I'll just let my puller kick in and keep me straight. Get a little bit past the object and left click again. You're not done yet though. So now it's placed it. Now, notice as I move my cursor, it's saying which direction you're going to look from. Because we got to get those arrows bent the right way. I'm going to look from down here into my front view. I'll go ahead and place this view, just left click it. You should hit enter, and you should see your section up here. I'll wait just a moment here. Andy, we pulled up assignment 4. Okay. And we're doing sections on that. Let me know when you're up here. Okay, did everybody get that to work?
You have to do an X or does enter work?
No, just left click. And then enter once you got it placed. You might have to hit enter twice to get out. All right, we see it now. It's not totally the way we want it. keep in mind that you're up and above, I'm just gonna point this out, you have your cutting plane line. You can select this, use grips to pull it so that you're all the way through the object. Because this is, the cutting plane line is gonna tell it to what to look at. Okay, so it's basically coming in here, throwing this half away and projecting what it sees. So pull my cutting plane line out. Now if you would, open your layer properties dialog box. Yes?
When you cut it, does that automatically just set a standard hatch on it?
We'll get there.
Okay.
Quick answer is yes.
Okay.
Okay, do you see a couple extra layers that popped open on here? Because ViewBase does the hidden and visible, right? The MD visible and hidden. Now you've got two more, annotation and hatching. So you'll want to set those in. Now the hatching one should match what? Our section layer properties. 012 line, green. Now you can put it whatever color you want, but it should be a .012 line. By default, it's an 010. Okay, your annotation should match your text layer. Okay, that should match your text layer. So just to show you, I'd zip in here real quick, and I'm just going to match this up with my text. So annotation, I want this one to be cyan. I want my line weight to be 016. My hatching, I'm going to turn it green. And its line weight is going to be 012.
And there's two visibles. Do you just click one to do that?
You shouldn't have two visibles unless you had something held into it from before.
I have two visibles.
Do you? From before then. Yeah, they should both be set the same because they're controlling different views.
I have two visibles for each one.
No, it's held over from the last time you did this. Bottom line is you should be looking at this.
What is hidden narrow and
Hmm?
hidden narrow and visible narrow? You just do them like
I'm not sure what
Hidden
that
is,
is.
.12.
Well, I don't know how my thing
Yeah.
is set. Yeah,
And
just-
my
all your
visible-
hidden should be 012.
My visible and my yellow
And visibles are 021,
024.
024.
My visible just.
024 is a 6.6 millimeter line.
Four.
It doesn't really matter, folks. You can change this on your own time. It's getting your line weights ready so you can plot it, right? Okay, now is the section correct? Through here. Follow your cutting plane line. I encountered a hole here, but then I'm solid everywhere except for that center hole. So that's all solid rock. Here's my hole. I come through, I'm solid till I hit this trench right here. So that should be non-hatched. And then I show all planes in the background. So I see this plane, which is this one. I see the other side right there, and then I see the hole. Pretty good view for this object. Is the cutting plane correct?
Yes.
Look at the font a little closer.
Section AA, it's not,
Is the font our font?
no.
Cutting plain line is supposed to be a phantom line, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do we change all of that? Do we put a title down here on our section view? No, the only one we label is a removed section. If it's part of our normal views, we don't have a title on those. In addition, maybe my cutting plane line, remember on a full section, I don't have to show my cutting plane line if the location of the cut is obvious. How do I get rid of all this stuff? Or how do I edit it? We do it through our styles. Okay? So let's go to the layout ribbon. So if you would make the layout ribbon correct. You have your two styles, one for detail, one for sections over here. The top one is your section style. Let's go through one of them just so you see how it's done. So I'm going to click on the little icon. It says section view style. Click on that. And this is going to be very familiar to you. It actually looks a lot like multimeter style. So go ahead and activate that. Then we're going to make a new style here. And give it a name. Let's call it the same thing I call everything, CSI1. Hit continue.
Did you start with the Imperial keyboard?
Yep. That's the only one in there, so that's the only choice you have. And you should now be, you clicked on the wrong icon. Click to the one on the left, not the drop down button. Section view style. New, give it a name. And continue. So you have 4 tabs we need to fill out here. We're going to go to identifier and arrows. So they're kind of showing you what's going on, what you're dealing with. So you're dealing with the identifier here. The identifier is this thing, this A. Now, we may not show this thing. You can turn it off. But if we did want to show it, if I have 2 sections, then I do show it, right? If I have an A or a B or a C, or if I do a removed section, I have to label it. So if I did show it, our text style would be what? It's a title. Go to CSI2. Kind of nice, it automatically gets rid of a bunch of letters that look like numbers, so it will not use those. And you don't really need to do all bands and all that stuff. In fact, I don't think you want to. That's for an offset section. On your direction arrows down at the bottom, we use a closed filled arrow. What's the size of our arrow? 1/4 inch, right? That's 0.25. Now the extension length is kind of misleading. It's going to automatically do 0.48, so double your arrow size. So we would do a 0.5, but what it's talking about is from this bend to the tip of the arrow, okay, is where it's talking. So you want to put that, usually we put it at double our deal, although you have grips to move this if you wish. So I'm just going to put 0.5. Over on the right side, arrangement, where are we putting the identifier? Start of arrow. So you got a few choices right there. I'll just leave start. The offset, half of your letter height, right? Letter height is a 1/4 inch, so that would be 0.125. Excuse me. And I just accept the defaults on the arrow direction. Okay, so we're done there. Let's go to the cutting plane line. Cutting plane tab, excuse me.
Oh, I missed the text color on the last one leave?
You don't need to. You're gonna control it by a layer. It's all on that MD annotation layer, so that controls your line weight.
Is there a reason why yours is colored?
Yeah, because I set that layer that it's sitting on to cyan. That's that MD annotation layer. Okay, we'll wait just a moment until everybody catches up.
So do you have to change all the colors?
On any new layer, yeah. Well, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. I just care how it prints. Yeah, it needs to be the correct line weight and the line type. Okay, now with cutting plane line, as we come through here, this will override the layer. And it's kind of nice because when we did cutting plane lines, right there, a .031, very thick line, we had to stick them on the border layer, but then we had to change the properties to get it to a phantom. Here you can do it all right here and it'll override the layer it's on. Because this thing's sitting on the MD annotation layer, which has a line weight of 0.16. That's not the line weight of my cutting plane. I can put it here and it will override it and print it correctly. Okay. So what I'm going to come in, line type for my cutting plane should be, now it breaks it into two sections here, I should point that out. Here's the end, that's this piece. And then down here is the cutting plane, that's this one. Okay, so it breaks it into two lines for you. So you fill them out basically identical. Okay, so line type is going to be Phantom 2. My line weight is 031.
Really?
And here's where it's given that end line length. Okay. And I'll just kind of leave those alone. Down under cutting plane line, I'm going to do the same thing. This needs to be a Phantom 2 and the line weight needs to be 031.
Are all the Phantom, is it the line weight 031?
On a cutting plane line, yes.
So why don't you have inline continuous? You don't want to be on that part, do you?
Oh, if I got it really long, yeah, I want it to be a Phantom line. You're going to find, especially, well, you'll see this in architectural. We have to take this and get it around dimensions and stuff, so we can make this much longer and much shorter, whatever we want to do, yeah, so set it to Phantom. Okay? All right, has everybody got that box filled out? Go to the view label. This one's talking about this guy down here. Okay. Now, we can have the option of turning this off completely if we don't want it. In this case, we don't want it, but we'll still go through how to set it up in case we do want it, because it's nice to have. Textile should be, it's a title, so it should be your neck 2. Once you fill that out, it gives everything you need. Distance from the view, just leave that at 0.75. And then down underneath, it has formatted text for you that it will fill out automatically. But if you want to rewrite that, all you do is highlight it and write in what you want in there. We'll just leave it alone. Certainly, if my scale will change automatically depending on what we set the view at. I think everything's done there. Let's go to the hatch one. Becca, here's the question you asked. Here we tell it what type of hatch we wish to use. I'll just leave it on 131, but I can choose any of my hatch patterns out of the boundary hatch command. We're going to do everything else by layer. Here is a hatch scale. This should be your DSF. You can change the angles down here if you wish. Yes?
Could you make like, for different materials, could you make like different ones and then be able to still have it as like, maybe as CSI 1, or would you just go in and change the hatch every time?
Yeah, if you had multiple parts here that you were hatching, you would get that availability to switch those.
Thank you.
Does the hatch scale change automatically? Your view? Does it go set on view?
No, not really, because this is annotative. These labels and everything we're doing here are annotative. But since they're going in paper space, what scale do we put them at? 1 primarily, right? They're not really in model space where that annotation takes into account. You can just adjust it. Remember with hatching, I told you don't use annotative because some of them scale up, they get bigger, some of them you scale up, they get smaller. They're all over the place. You gotta just eyeball it. All right, so we've got it. Say okay.
Wait, is it, back up, you just said the hatching is annotated for this, how do you unannotate it?
The hatching is not annotative, but this style is annotative if I was using it in model space, but I'm not. I'm using it in paper space. Okay, close it. Now, you should see that nothing has changed.
Look,
No, well, I don't know that it did.
mine did. Okay,
Yours
straight
did?
now. Mine's straight now.
Okay, well, the thing you probably have to do here, they shouldn't have changed,
Yeah. I've got them at 2A, I'm pretty
is
sure of that.
we place this before having that style set current. So it's holding on to the old imperial style. So everybody except for Lisa, you'll need your properties dialog box, select your section, and you see right here, it's saying, hey, I'm under the Imperial 24, change that to the style we just chose. Now you should see it have simplex font. You should now have a phantom line. It will be 031 inches when you print it. Everything's good to go.
Mine still doesn't look like a camera.
What's that?
I'm not seeing like any dashes in mine.
No,
You're not seeing a phantom line here?
no, not either.
Okay. You should be, zip back in there, and maybe you missed the box. Or the other thing that can happen with this, if this is too short, is it gonna show you the breaks? It won't, right? Remember,
It's
it's,
in the middle.